Yeah, hello everyone. Tavern reaction. Welcome back to another video. So it's been a while, but today gonna be reacting to a new BLUEJAY video. I just saw that he uploaded one around a week ago or so. The last one we watched from him was about pirates, on how to be the pirate king or something. But yeah, anyway, this one's called absurd historical slang that needs to come back. Okay, I'm definitely excited for this one. Okay, like
Idioms, jargon, the words we choose to hurl at each other's faces are just as much of a cultural fingerprint as the clothes we wear or the games we play. This one's my favorite. We've all had that one friend who orders at Mexican restaurants like, yes, I'll have the enchilada y burrito con pollo, por favor. So you call them a
I've never had to deal with that, but if that happened, that would be really annoying, honestly.
Kirby sucking club penguin iPad kid. Or something along those lines. But what if you're growing tired of the same old slurs and TikTok brain rot and crave a more refined lexicon to voraciously vivify vexatiously vulgar tongues? Well, worry not, my chitty-faced chuckaboos, for in today's Circumbendibus, I'm gonna fill that knowledge box with enough slang, slurs, and silly syllables to spifflicate and higgledy-piggledy clapperclaw some bottle-headed addlepates.
I've never been much of a bird person, but blue jays are actually pretty to look at.
Now, if you're anything like me, you're a big fan of exploiting the words you use on public platforms to manipulate the masses. But as much as I love to gaslight, no one excels in weaponizing the silver tongue more than politicians. Do you ever find yourself listening to an elected official and get confused by the words they use?
Yeah, it's a sad thing that the first person to die in the world of politics and conflict is the truth. And you know how in the US, when in court, when they go to the stand, they have to take an oath to swear, say nothing but the truth. The oath is absolute BS, because they commit perjury the moment they take the oath. Oftentimes, when people go to the stand, what they say is either exaggerated or a lie.
I wonder what he means by that. Well, luckily for you, understanding the bias and reliability in the words used by important people has never been easier than with Ground News. Ground News is a website and app.
I'm gonna skip the
way to read the news.
The sponsor for now.
Together news there's 40 to get availability, education, and human connection. What it really means is that there's just that many more people you need to shit talk in in-game lobbies. With the comfort of anonymity granted to us by our favorite little TikTok bricks, comment sections and threads across the internet have evolved into a constant battle of wits. And while many think they could just steal quotes from obscure indie films like The Princess Bride or V for Vendetta and call it a day, a true master of the silver.
I never watched The Princess Bride, but I do remember watching V for Vendetta a long time ago. Pretty cool movie. I recommend you watch it.
Your tongue must engage in more rigorous and refined study to fully weaponize a keen intellect. I'm talking, of course, about Fight Club, but in all seriousness, to really level up your yapping abilities, we're going to whip out the history books to study the wise words of our ancestors. The non-racist ones, at least. And to help stencil your name onto the list of eccentric conversationalists and or an FBI watch list, I've taken it upon myself to analyze the mountain of obsolete slang and idioms to condense it down to some that I think truly shine. So, naturally, 95% of it comes from poor 18th century British people. And speaking of,
of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? Gotta love the Brits.
What better way to learn the words of yesteryear than a little bit of immersion therapy? Let's say you're walking down the streets of downtown Atlanta after a long night of drinking when you hear rustling coming from the alley beside you. You let out a sigh as you get ready to hand over your decoy phone and wallet because it's Atlanta when you...
Is that true? Any Atlantans? Atlantans here in the... watching this video, can you confirm whether you do... Can you confirm whether it's that dangerous that you have to carry decoy belongings?
See a magical gnome.
Because if so, Why the F would you still continue to live there? Other than the fact that you're poor and have no way of moving, so yeah.
Waddle out of the shadows and introduce himself as Dasher in an adorable French accent. Brimming with glee, you bend over to hear his words of wisdom when, uh-oh, you forgot one crucial detail. You're still in Atlanta, and the gnome probably flips out a switchblade and stabs you in the liver, casting a spell that sends you back in time to 18th century England.
Personally, if I saw an actual real gnome in real life, I maybe probably try to kill it or capture it and, you know, auction it to scientists and become famous and rich and whatnot.
But only after magically draining your 401k. After coming to, you find yourself lying in the dirt of a London dockyard, bleeding profusely from your gut. But hey, you're in Georgian London now. Having an open wound is pretty much par for the course here. Luckily for you, you catch the eye of a sweet-looking older lady who rushes up and asks you what happened. Now, given the crazy fiasco you just went through, you might say, after a bender, this Frenchified Dasher took a flourish with their magical gnome tool and tried to ice me after casting up my accounts. You then watch as her amiable face turns to one of terror as she gasps and responds, "An arborvitae?" Now, you're not quite sure what she means, but noting that horrified look on her face and the magical sounding words she used, you assume she's heard tales of these fantasy gnome scenarios before, and respond with, "That's right." The old lady's eyes then widen even more before she quickly scurries off, leading you to believe that she's finding you some help. Now that you're waiting here wondering just how many pints of blood the human body has, and whether or not you actually saw a gnome or just Danny DeVito, it's the perfect time to let you know that
Isn't it around 5 to 10 pints of blood?
the lingo of the past doesn't perfectly align with the definitions of today. So even though you thought you were able to convey the mythical quackery you just experienced, what you actually said was you paid a sixpence to a flashy hooker with venereal disease for a quickie who turned out to have magical male genitalia and attempted to fart on you after you vomited. To which, in shock, the lady asked to clarify, "A penis?" To which you said, "That's right." So you shouldn't be too surprised when you see the old lady return with a group of big, strong, angry men with sticks. This situation is what we'd refer to as an uh-oh spaghettios, or as these people would say, a cock-a-fuego, or as your mom would say, a Tuesday night.
That's a British slang? That sounds more like Spanish or Portuguese.
Sobbing more tears than Kanye's PR manager, you skedaddle skedoodle before you're made a fool when you lock eyes onto a tavern and figure, hey, if you're gonna be wounded, might as well self-medicate. But before you could partake in the most classic of British pastimes, you bump into a large mustachioed man. Top of the morning, son. Now, I see what you're off to, but before you go looking for Heartsease getting a hickey, how about you reach for me bag o' mystery? What's in there? Oh, I think you know, son. Come now, grab me sausage before you get clammed. Whoa, calm down there, Eddie. This adorable little Eggman doppelganger isn't soliciting a handy on the threat of death. Clammed is actually slang for starved in these parts. He just doesn't want you to go hungry. But heart's ease and getting a hickey? Merely gin and getting tipsy, Eddie. And you better get used to the alcohol slang, as being a Brit in the 17th.
The heart's ease makes sense. Because, you know, sometimes life is hard and people, you know, some people de-stress via alcohol. I get that.
1800s, free time activities were pretty much limited to either go drink or go die, with true gamers shooting for a combination of the two. So what this gentleman really said was, before you go get tipsy off some gin, how about you buy a sausage? As a bag o' mystery was a rather whimsical way of pointing out how not even God knows what's stuffed into these intestine-lined sacks of flesh. Popularized in the 1850s, which I know we're currently in the 1700s, but this is my video, so you can all go eat a bag of arborvitaes. This is exactly the kind of...
Okay, I actually like this. I wish people today would still keep calling sausages bags of mystery.
Phrase I'd like to see make a comeback today, regardless of any potential problems it might pose. Just tap thine card here and your signature. Fortuitous! 2 bags of mystery, my good sirs. Ah, what the? Is this a fucking hypodermic needle? A wizard I may be, but power have I not over the workings of conjuration sausagery. You know, I oughta sue you. Ooh, a mage always prepares runic protections from the mortal arts. What, a waiver? You son of a... Come on, Colin, let's get out of here. Colin.
Oh god, he ate the syringe part, didn't he? There are 2 parts of the syringe. The old container and the needle. So yeah, from his reaction, he probably ate the syringe.
Lagpas ka na sa kalendaryo. Hinay-hinay na.
No way.
Come on.
Escaping from that vaguely threatening encounter, or as they say here, an average British interaction, you finally waltz your way into the tavern with your stomach thoroughly satisfied with bits of unknown origin and also still bleeding. But as you're walking through the door, a hand snaps shut on your arm. Brimming with fear, you turn towards who you assume to be the gang of angry men having finally caught up with you, but are relieved to see it's just a mere homeless man with a wild look in his eyes. Just a little crank, good sir. If I get candy, I promise I won't shoot the cat. Ah,
wait,
good
what?
Crank. Finally, some street slang even a white boy like you can recognize. Well, obviously you don't want this crazy meth head to kill a cat, and it's about time you got a side quest in this British fantasy land. Okay, just take it easy. Where can I get some meth around here? Uh-oh, he's looking pretty confused.
Was meth a thing back then? I don't know, but one thing I do know was that opium was a thing back then.
Great, what did he actually say? I'm glad you asked. The term crank is a fascinating example of a word that has independently derived multiple slang definitions over the course of history, similar to how a minor fling is not only slang for a short-term casual relationship, but can also refer to Dr. Disrespect. While you and I today know crank as those funny little rocks we're pretty sure Aaron Rodgers smokes, in this time it was slang for gin and water. So what he actually said was, just a little gin and water, good sir. If I get drunk, I promise I won't throw up. This guy's not a...
Why would shoot the cat? Who on earth? How on earth would this? Would never mind. I don't have any words to describe this.
A homeless tweaker, Eddie. He's just British. Alright, I'll get you some gin. I'll give you some spanks. What? He'll give you some money. God damn it. As you're finally able to breach the entrance of the pub, you're met with quite the exquisite sight. This place is different from the modern day American bars that you're accustomed to, where you sit down at a sticky table next to that alcoholic that keeps saying, haha, must be a hole at the bottom of my glass, before grabbing his keys, and scouring the menu for a drink that doesn't taste like straight piss, but isn't too tasty that your immature friend from high school calls you gay, all while seeing how many alcoholics you can convince or find the drive home for a taste of power and listening to the bar's...
But when it comes to liquor, what's your favorite? Personally, I prefer I'm more of a cocktail kind of guy. I mean, especially sweet cocktails, because I have a sweet tooth. And also liquor on its own, like whiskey's fine, but things like vodka and gin just taste bad on their own, so I can't have it unless it's mixed in a sweet cocktail.
Playlist of Journey and or the Black Keys and literally nothing else. Hey, when enough of them are on the road, that's not a hazard, that's just skill-based matchmaking. Anyway, the British taverns of old were more than just a place to speedrun liver failure. They were the beating hearts of their local communities, a place for socializing, for business and political meetings. The pub was where anyone could go at the end of the day to just let go and be themselves. So long as that wasn't gay or black. The room before you is dimly lit. The floorboards creak as patrons walk beneath the low ceiling, dodging wooden beams, while the warmth from the open hearth enchants the atmosphere with a cozy ambiance. It's within these very walls that centuries of culture have been molded, shaping the fabric of the society around you, including the very slang you're learning about today. You make your way to the bartender as a smile grows on your face, because even with all the trauma you've been through, the spell of the British pub is already starting to work its magic on you. Despite all the stress, all the hostilities, and no...
For me personally, the British pub beats the classic American aesthetic of the bar. It's just way more refined and cultured.
Big stab wounds. You're beginning to believe that, against all odds, things just might turn out alright. Strip me naked, and the magic is gone. What are you talking about? Come on, give us a diddle. What is happening? Ah, just two more slang phrases for gin. Again, I can't stress this enough, there really wasn't much else to do. Oh, right, to strip you...
Why on earth would that be slang for liquor? But then again, we do have cocktails like that are literally called blowjob and sex on the beach, so yeah, I can't really complain about that.
You nakeds? You do what to me now? Wrong pronoun. Duh, strip me nakeds. To go, please? Sure, coming right up. Oh, and be careful now. You're sitting right next to an admiral of the narrow seas. Oh, thank you for your service. That was slang, wasn't it? For a drunk who vomits into someone's lap, yes. Don't worry, lad. Voice up.
I actually really like that, and that actually does make sense.
Admiral of the Narrow Seas here to help clean you right up. What's so funny? It's just, I'm happy you're learning. I just feel like I'm being tortured. Oh, yes. But anyway, a vice admiral of the Narrow Seas was slang for a drunken man that pees under the table into his companion's shoes, which apparently...
I also really like that, but if this happened to me in real life, I'd probably punch the scheisse out of the both of them.
Apparently was a common enough occurrence to warrant a full phrase. Covered in more blood, piss, and puke than a Megan Fox relationship, you await patiently as the bartender brings you your drinks. 2 stirrup cups for you, lad. A phrase for a parting drink given to guests who are taking their leave, typically drank on horseback. So now you have some fun new lingo to use to feel like a little cowboy the next time you're pulled over for a DUI. Say, what's your name anyway? Oh, I'm Eddie. Jackie? No, it's Eddie. Oh. Max? Actually, it's Eddie. What the? You gotta be kidding me. Lightning! Ah! Oh, come on! How many words do people have for gin?
I was about to say the same thing, yeah.
Quite the comical amount, actually. In fact,
because if there were these many slang words for a certain thing, it'd probably get really confusing.
One of my primary sources, a classical dictionary of the vulgar tongue by Francis Gross, has over 25 terms for the liquor. I was surprised at first until I realized the lexicon was originally published following a period known as the gin craze in Britain, where, due to some salty pillow fighting going on between England and France, French brandy was restricted, causing cheap gin to skyrocket in popularity amongst London's poor. So intense was this popularity that Parliament passed a whopping 5 major acts just trying to get people to chill with the bottle. I know this might sound rather crazy, but if you want to understand the gin craze today, all you have to do is watch reruns of Ellen. As you grab your stirrup cups to complete your side quest, you hear someone yell, "The launch is starting!" followed by the horrid screams emanating from a girl outside. Surely, you figure, the combination of a launch and woman in fear must mean Elon Musk is nearby. But as you open the door and mentally prepare for a 15-minute monologue of bullshit, you find out that there isn't an upcoming SpaceX launch, but a woman giving birth just outside. While you yet again misinterpreted the situation,
this also makes pretty sense, pretty good sense, actually. I forgot what I was going to say.
You can write this one out just as you would have if it was Elon that you'd come face to face with. Avoid physical contact, say ew that's gross, and advise them to stop having more kids.
Oh, come on.
Bisan gipaningot og maayo.
I already have some. Come on.
Bagong best ever Mystique. Tibok adlaw fresh with 24-hour perfume. Bisan unsa ka doon, presko gihapon tibok.
Come on.
$6.25 lang.
Come on. No, I don't like dairy milk.
Rounding the corner with your drinks, you see a one-armed man crouching behind a barrel stand up and start approaching you. Careful now, Eddie. This sneaks-be-snacks having snaffler seeks to snaffle and snabble. And while you're busy laughing at what you assume to be a bit of amusing Dr. Seussian alliteration, a mean-spirited highwayman with large teeth comes up and mugs you before stabbing you to death. What? Are you serious? I don't know, maybe. What do you mean, maybe? Well, it could also mean this is a sneaky horse thief looking to rifle through your things so he can steal a wig for his pet snail. Slang is complicated, man. I still don't know if skibbity is a noun or verb. Well, look.
Same, and honestly, I don't... Same, and honestly, I really don't get it when people say skibbity and whatnot. Riz and yacht and sigma I get, but... Skibbity just sounds like some dumb nursery school stuff.
Who we have here? I knew even the slugabeds would be drawn to the commotion. A slugabed was a drone. Now, obviously, he doesn't mean the flying kind we're familiar with today. He means someone who can't wake up in the morning. But ironically, if you think about it, slugabed is exactly what modern drones do too. You talking about the launch going on back there? Good for you, Eddie. Way to use the local lingo. Yeah, the lass is poisoned, all right. What? Just another way of saying someone is big with child or pregnant. You could also say she sprained her ankle to say the same thing.
This would be very confusing if this were said in today.
But, as you've just experienced yourself, using these phrases today would undoubtedly lead to a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
Jeremy, I think I sprained my ankle. You sure did. Congratulations, Jan. No, Jeremy. Oh God, I think I'm poisoned. Uh-oh, get poison control on the line. Please, for the love of God, use my phone. Oh, I get it. Let's see if it's blue or pink. I love gender reveals. Ah, well, glad that she's not dying then. Ah, I wouldn't go that far. She's still giving.
I don't get the purpose of a gender reveal party. A party, sure, it's a great way, you know, to drink and have a, you know, celebrate and whatnot, but I just don't get it.
Birth outside a pub in a London alley, pre-modern medicine. It's pretty much a coin flip whether or not she becomes a statistic. The beauty of life, right? Speaking of, let's see if you keep yours. Now, I'm sure you're wondering where me rammer is. I really don't want to know. He means his arm. Ah. Would I have ye know I lost it fighting off a 30-foot sea lawyer with me bare hands in the middle of the blind man's holiday, and I took way more from that bloody beast than he got from me. Two excellent 18th century phrases, Eddie. A blind man's holiday is slang for the night or darkness, while a sea lawyer, as you may have guessed, is jargon for a shark.
These I actually love so much. We should bring these back.
One of my favorite slangs, but also quite ridiculous, as none of these guys are smart enough to pass the bar. That's right, so don't mess with me, son. I'm a bottom. I really didn't need to know that. Not what you're thinking, Eddie. Amongst bruisers, a bottom is a hardy fellow who can take a good beating. So I guess in a way, it is what you're thinking. Alright.
If you're too innocent to know what he means, good for you. You best to ask your parents.
What do you want? I'll be a sneaksby snags having snaffler. Yeah, I got that part, so which is it? Are you killing me or looking for a snail wig? Preferably a nice powdered one with the little ponytails. I don't have any wigs. Oh. Well, we'll be taking your shoes then. Fine. And do you have any tape? What, was that even invented? Surviving that snaffler encounter, you continue your journey to deliver your gin as you acquire yet more open wounds from shards of glass in your newly barefoot grippers. But not to worry, these cobblestones are covered in piss that's at least 20% ethanol, so the only thing you're going to be infected with is shame. As you finally approach him, the wild-eyed alcoholic shoots to his feet, shaking more than an angry dad with Parkinson's. Bloody hell! You really milked the pigeon with this one. I assure you I did no such thing. To milk the pigeon just means to endeavor at impossibilities. He's saying you really pulled
That makes sense since you can't milk pigeons.
off something challenging. Oh.
Next time someone asks me to do something, or if I ask someone to do that and they do it, I'm gonna say that to them.
Yeah, really had to slurp the pigeon milk to get this. Not really the way it's used, but I like the spirit. You're a bit of a clunch. I like that. Listen, Colt, what say you and me go around back and suck the monkey till we're shitting through our teeth? Whoa, alright, buddy. I knew people were weird, but this is getting like VR chat weird. Fret not, Eddie. Remember the rule of thumb when talking to the English. When in doubt, they're talking about alcohol. To suck the monkey was actually the practice of secretly sucking liquor out of a cask or barrel with a straw, an activity so comically stupid that calling it something you could mistake for a Zootopia fanfic was considered appropriate. And while the Brits may have reached Looney Tunes levels of alcoholic wackiness, the same couldn't be said for their bodily resilience, as newspapers reported numerous cases of people dying from this stunt. I would say that'd be a hilarious thing to see written on a tombstone, but anyone slurping an 8,747 ounce big gulp of ethanol probably doesn't have the kind of support structure that'd care about a proper burial. So, Eddie, what this guy actually said was, "You're a bit of an awkward fellow. Listen, man, how about we both go suck liquor from caskets with straws until we puke out of our mouths?"
This makes so much sense. This one here makes sense, because, yeah, having to vomit is absolute scheisse. And Cole, I don't know if that makes sense, but I like it. I'm gonna say that from now on.
I think I'll actually pass
Same for clunch, I'm gonna use that too.
this time. Ah, no worries. How about we go fist the cow instead? Great, what's this? Chug cow milk mixed with gin or something? Oh no, that's not an idiom.
Sa edad mo,
Come on!
hinay-hinay na, tuloy ang tibay sa gulong ng
Lactose intolerant.
Grammarly has become
I already have it.
Saver for me when writing papers.
Come on.
Because it's essentially like a
Adding yet another tally to your daily trauma quota,
You just hate it when you have something, but you keep getting ads for it.
barge charge back into the pub not only to get clear of that frig pig, but to get clear yourself. And as luck would have it, you spot a woman holding an extra pair of men's shoes, undoubtedly taken off the feet of a womblety cropped Nick Ninny. As cool as hobbits are, it's probably best to get them paws covered, so you approach the lass to explain your situation. Hello, miss, how do you do? Another master of the wardrobe, are we? Oh, you're far too kind. No, she's not, Eddie. That wasn't a compliment. Come on, you're literally covered in puke. A master of the wardrobe was someone so desperate for a drink that they pawned their own clothes to pay for it. Oh, no.
It makes sense, especially during this time. Alcoholism was so grand to an extent. It destroyed many people's livelihoods, and it's because of situations like this did it eventually inspire the prohibition movement in the US and whatnot.
No, you see, I needed to bring some lightning to this drunkard outside, and after getting caught up in a launch and a run-in with a snaffler, you really have tongue enough for 2 sets of teeth, don't you? Before you compliment her sick, nasty alien reference, she's actually using a phrase for a talkative person, essentially saying,
That also makes sense. I'm gonna use that too.
one set of chompers isn't enough for someone who yaps as much as you do. A feeling I'm sure many of us can relate to. Hey, this is my friend Keith, but be careful, he's tongue enough for 2 sets of teeth. Oh, is that like some kind of idiot? Tongue could also be used in a quirky response to someone asking how old you were. Hey, this is my friend Kevin here. He's the senior manager at my hedge fund. Oh, nice to meet you. That's really impressive. How old are you? As old as my tongue and a little older than my teeth. What does that even mean? There were actually quite the plethora of phrases to describe a talkative person. For example, you also had the term prattle basket. Just a random basket. This lady is asking you to wrap it up. Right, I was just hoping to take your kicks. Uh-oh. While you've been doing your best to adapt to the contemporary slang, you inadvertently injected some of your modern tongue as well. So you didn't actually ask her for her extra pair of shoes, you asked the lady for her breeches. Oi, I'll give you a kick in the guts. Gah! Oh hey, what do you know? He's just talking about gin. You're not mad? Gods no. Every bloke in town's had a wild night with that one. She's one of my cousins. Psst, that's just slang for harlot or prostitute, so she's not literally his cousin. I think. I mean, the phrase had to start somehow. Well, thanks.
Yeah.
Do you guys drink anything other than gin? Why, it's rather rum. While you start to get excited at the prospect of finally another alcohol, around this time, rum was actually also slang for something fine, good, or valuable. And it did a lot of heavy lifting amongst the wretched British population, as it served as an adjective to form additional slang phrases. For example, you had a rum nab, which was a good hat, or rum duke, meaning handsome chap. Make it rum bluffer to say jolly host, or rum bung for a full tote. A rum bugger was a valuable mutt, and rum princer, a fine horse to strut. A rum doxy was a fine wench, rum fuddle a good drink to quench, rum peepers were good looking glasses, and a rum problem is what you have. Finishing your kick in the gut.
So basically, if you want actual rum, you go and say, "Hello, chap. One shot of rum, please." Yeah.
So you head to the bartender to freshen up your glass. You make a rum fuddle, my good man. I'll take another crank. Oh, you're pissing down me back. Another crank coming right up. I'm really hoping that just means I flattered him. Right on the money, Eddie.
So that's where the kink came from.
I'm getting the hang of this. There you go. Careful when quack swagging being off and off.
I have no words.
I hate the British. Starting to feel a bit of wobble in your knees, not only from the amount of alcohol in your blood, but from the increasing lack thereof it, you decide to look around to mingle with some of the local patrons to fully immerse in the pub culture. You're beginning to get a little chilly because, again, you've pretty much got the blood pressure of a quacking cheat by now, so you head on over to a group of men near the open hearth. He told me yes over some scandal broth that while we went here to soak, he'd join us after some snaffling. You figure you just might know who they're talking about, but first, let's add some context. Yes is just a contraction of the word yesterday, a must-use for any conversational minimalists out there. But be careful contracting too much, because let's say you went to work after being sick with the cold the day before and someone asked you what happened, responding with yes infection could land you an HR meeting. Scandal broth, along with prattle broth, chatter broth, and cat, you guessed it, lap, are all different ways to say tea, getting its definition from it being the beverage of choice for women who like to sit around gossiping, or as we would say today, spilling the tea. To soak was yet another phrase.
That actually makes a lot of sense. Chatter broth. especially broth, because yeah, since it takes a while for the tea to brew and for it to cool down, same for coffee. Many people will just sit down and have a chat while it cools down and brews. So yeah, that one there makes a lot of sense. And for it to be referred to as broth also somewhat makes sense, since broth is boiled whatever, and you're basically boiling tea leaves and whatnot. So yeah, it makes sense.
For the great British pastime. However, again, I would express caution using this one today, for asking people to soak with you could land you in hot water depending on their cultural background, particularly when it comes to Mormons. I think I might have run into that guy you're talking about. The group of men turn towards you as you make yourself known, and the gentleman who spoke previously responds, "Did you now? The one ram a toad eater himself?" Toad eater? What does that mean? Exactly what it sounds like, Eddie. A toad eater was someone who was paid to eat live toads and was a must-see attraction at any Georgian-era fair. The idea was that since people believe toads to be poisonous, a mischievous charlatan could miraculously...
But weren't they eating frogs on the other side of the channel? Or did they have different beliefs based on frogs and toads? I know there's a difference between the two, I just don't know what they are. They look the same to me.
Miraculously cure them in order to sell their snake oil medicine. And now, to prove the curative properties of my phantasmal medicine, Johnny here will swallow a live toad. Woo! Yeah!
I'm an enthusiast for exotic food. My parents aren't, however. But this right here, just eating stuff alive is horrifying. For me personally, if I had to eat bugs or stuff like this, I prefer them dead and cooked.
That's for my wife, you son of a bitch.
Sarap ng kain.
Come on.
Kaya lang, ang toxin buildup, di okay. Drink Del Monte Fiber Enriched Nightly to
Come on.
your tummy. It has added fiber that aids in digestion. Get into the Del Monte Fiber habit nightly. Good morning.
Right. Well, one rammer you said? Yeah, I spoke with the coal outside. You did what now? Oh, so close, Eddie. Again, I appreciate the effort, but saying I spoke with the coal means you robbed the man. Well. Gather round, boys. It looks like I have to settle this coal by a stroke on his knob. Stroke? Don't get too excited, champ. He's actually saying he's gonna punch you in the head. Yeah, and after that, I'll give you a blow on that jolly knob. What is happening? Once more, just saying he's gonna beat your head in. Again, crucial not to miss right here, as I tell you, we're gonna minimize your inevitable CTE. All three of us will have a pull on that noddle of yours. I'll mill that canister so good you won't be able to walk in the morning. Okay, these guys have to be hearing themselves. To have a pull means to have the advantage on something. He's essentially saying, by outnumbering you, clobbering your head in will be a piece of cake. So, in summary, now is an excellent time to start running. Crossing sticky floors, waving bye to whores, and sprinting out the doors, you're once again weaving your way through the London slums. Running through all these streets and alleys, you're really starting to get to see the full glory of the great power that was 18th century England. So as you approach the top of a hill, you figure now would be an excellent time to take in the first-hand views of Georgian London. Let's take a look. Ah, what beauty. This magnificent architecture is what they refer to as the Industrial Revolution, or as we say today, an animation time saver. Rounding a corner, you finally catch some luck as you run into a constable. Oh, thank God. Sir, I'd like to make a report. I'm being chased down by some men from a pub back there, and I really had to heave my way out of there. Heave, you say? That's right. Right then, come now, son. I've got some ruffles for you. You're gonna get to polish the king's iron with your eyebrows. Now, you figure this could mean a few things. Maybe he's inviting you to become a specialized worker in the royal court, literally polishing the king's iron. Or perhaps they're asking you to jack him off. Either way, you suppose if you're gonna be hard at work for nobility, the potential reward far outweighs any downsides, even if that means sweat won't be the only bodily fluid you're drenched in. Okay, sounds good. But when you say ruffles, are you talking about like the tasty treat? Oh, the spicy.
No, that's truffles. Also, and the ruffles referring to handcuffs can make sense because, you know, we do have ruffles on our some clothes have ruffles on the wrists, so yeah.
Treat. No, Eddie. When you told him you heaved your way out of the pub, you actually said you robbed the place. And to polish the king's iron with one's eyebrows actually was a saying for looking out of prison windows. You're very much so under arrest. What? No! This is a mistake! Ugh, you know, I reckon it's your execution day as well. What? No, this is absurd! Help me, Godbird! Oh, flattery will get you everywhere, Eddie. But he doesn't literally mean you're being executed. He just means you need to be washed. You are absolutely painted in people's DNA after all. Say, aren't you the bloke that verbally assaulted Mrs. Locke earlier? Right then, I'm taking you in and you'll go on ladder to bed. Okay, that one does mean execution. Please, save me! Take me—
That makes sense as well. Because you're going to bed and never waking up.
back to Atlanta! Oh, sure thing. What? You could have done that? The whole time? Well, I could have, but what kind of teacher would I be if I did? An ethical one? Oh, please. I never took ethics class. Ugh, I feel weak. So, Eddie, now that you got to soak in all the grime and culture, the people and customs, and the pubs and booze of 18th century London, how about it? Feeling ready to wag that silver tongue with a whole new palette of colorful slang? 22 minutes. Getting a little sloppy, Dasher. The liver was in the way of the aorta artery. Can't let him bend down next time. It messes up your aim. Good to run a few more drills tomorrow? Oui. Excellent. Obsolete slang. 12 out of 10 stars.
This was really good and entertaining and pretty informational, not gonna lie. So, yeah, I don't really have anything else to say, really. I've already given most of my input. And I'm not much of an expert in this topic, so yeah. That's all I'm gonna say for now. And also it's pretty hot, so I'd like to take off this shirt. Anyway, if you like this video, you know the drill, like, subscribe, link to my Facebook page and to the original video by BLUEJAY down below. Comment down below which of these slang words was your favorite. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!